G'day friends, I'm Locke from Lake Crookmouth. Welcome to this first edition of Lake Talkmouth, where we talk all things Lake Crookmouth. In this video we're going to be going through the concept behind my concept album, Here, and Finally Here. So this album is my debut LP, and it tells the origin story, nay, the origin myth, behind Lake Crookmouth. And the album is based on the structure of The Hero's Journey by Joseph Campbell, which is kind of the archetypal coming-of-age adventure story. Bit of background, I didn't actually write the album with this story in mind. The songs were just a collection of some of my earliest works in my quite tumultuous journey getting into music. And it wasn't until I heard To Pimp a Butterfly by Kendrick Lamar that I thought, oh my god, obviously every album, including this one, now needs to be a concept album. So it took me a while to figure out what the story was. I literally spent a few months arranging and rearranging the set list of the songs before I had this epiphany that the writing of the songs, the thoughts and places the songs came from in my turbulent 20s, was the story. That they told the story of my development as a songwriter, of my decision to pursue music as a career, and of the discovery of my life's great passion and purpose in music. So without further ado, let's get into it. So my journey into music begun when I was 16. Growing up, I'd actually been pretty indifferent towards music, but this all changed when I discovered Nirvana and fell into my first grade musical obsession. Then one day I came across a Fender Kurt Cobain Mustang, which up to that point was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen in my life. So my mum very generously bought it for me, and I played guitar every single day for hours on end for the next 5 years. Now I started writing guitar riffs pretty quickly, but my first attempt at lyrics were not great. I've actually got some right here in my first journal. Sleeping through the sun, towards the ocean. Gotta hang on, my mind is most in. Wanna wake up, but my head is frozen. What the actual fuck am I in dozing? Look, I even later bullied myself about those lyrics. Now, despite these first attempts, I did a lot of creative writing growing up. So I had this feeling that if I worked at it, it would come. And I made a little promise to myself that if I could write good songs, then maybe I'll pursue music. And this is our call to adventure. In our hero's journey, song here is the familiar world that we will depart from but also return to. It's the generic love songs and club bangers that I felt so indifferent towards growing up. It's an ode to music with meaning, feelings, and reason behind it. It's my value statement and manifesto for what I envision my music to be. Don't call me baby. So as I was falling in love with music, I noticed a concerning pattern among some of my favourite artists. Many of them died young, often from suicide. And alas, I had stumbled upon the myth of the tortured artist, a problematic yet prevalent narrative that is concerningly idolised in the creative spheres. Now, while my life certainly wasn't free of struggle, I had been raised on a very pragmatic get-on-with-it attitude. It was very much at odds with the indulgent narratives of the tortured artist. But as I fell deeper into music, I couldn't help romanticizing the lives and achievements and struggles of my favorite artists. And in pursuing my own creativity, I couldn't really help but feel a desire to indulge in it myself. So in our hero's journey, catharsis is the refusal of the call. It's the contention between the indulgent vulnerabilities of creativity and the get-on-with-it attitude of my upbringing. It's simultaneously a satire and an embrace of the tortured artist myth. In my final year of a very disappointing undergrad degree, my studies had left me completely in denial that I wanted to pursue music, even though I spent most of my waking hours playing guitar. But that denial changed after I had my first psychedelic experience. It was actually one of the most profound experiences of my life. I was out in the bush and I remember lying on the grass and listening to the Beatles. And looking up at the trees, I remember seeing their faces like on the cover of Revolver, drifting through the canopy in the clouds and filling me with this comfort and purpose. I had this overwhelming feeling that everything was going to be alright, that I was being given permission to make a choice. In the hero's journey, Eyelit is the assistance. It's the ethereal mentor that gave me the assurance that this is what I wanted to do. And for the first time in my life, I thought to myself, I think I want to pursue music. And I swam in the euphoria of that thought. I have this memory from high school where I was waiting for a train in my school uniform, and as it approached the platform, it swept past this business fella standing in front of me, and it blew open his jacket and threw his tie around his neck. And then a second later, it did the same thing to me. And I had this despairing thought of, oh, that's where I'm going. So after my first psychedelic experience, nothing really felt the same. I'd found a purpose and an ambition in music, but didn't really have anyone to share it with. And returning to my life of work, study, and drinks at the pub all felt very mundane. So in our hero's journey, boring jobs is the departure from the familiar world. It's the threshold guardian in an existential crisis about the conditions of modern working life. A fork in the road, departing from the familiar world into the unknown.
Oh, what's become of our education? Boring jobs.
So I'd finished my undergrad, I'd quit my job, and I'd left the tedium of my life in Australia to backpack around Europe. And a week into my travels, I had my first, and to date only, panic attack. Yay! Now, funnily enough, I knew exactly what it was about. I didn't want to meander aimlessly. I didn't want to spend every night drinking in a new city and having the same conversations. I wanted to write music. So the next day I bought myself a guitar, and in the abundance of downtime you get while you're traveling, I started writing. Writing my adventures, my thoughts, and my experiences into some of my first songs. So in our hero's journey, 31 is the trials. It's the peaks and troughs of the first steps into the unknown world that amalgamate into experience. It's a collage of sketches from my travels that became the source and the foundation of my songwriting craft. So one evening I sat down at my desk and started scribbling to a melody that had come to me while I was leaving work. So I'd never written anything I was particularly happy with before, but this time felt different. Humming the lyrics back to myself, I felt this unfamiliar sense of fulfillment that bubbled into a tentative ambition. Had I just written a good song? Now, funnily enough, I felt quite confronted by this ambition. I guess I wasn't yet ready to consider songwriting as my big ambition. So at the top of the page, I wrote good practice, simultaneously belittling my achievement, but also foreshadowing the potential it had unlocked. So in our hero's journey, good practice is the approach. The potential and the ambition are being realized, but it foreshadows the greatest battle that still lies ahead. It's the tentative aspirations of an artist still in the process of honing their craft.
I went around the other places I viewed and saw, they're not too complicated.
So no matter how much work I put into my songwriting, no matter what fulfillment it brought, it was always met with an equal force of doubt. There were always those naysaying voices within and without telling me that I wasn't doing enough, that the odds were stacked against me, that it was too late. And this is the shadow side of the get on with it attitude from my upbringing. The ambition and the vulnerability of my creative pursuits were at odds with my pragmatic upbringing. So in the hero's journey, how lucky is the innermost cave? It's my own shadow manifesting itself in Australian tall poppy syndrome. It's a belligerent old man telling me I've simultaneously got it too good, but will also never make a living out of it. It's my get on with it upbringing at odds with my creative ambitions.
You don't know how lucky you are. You're choking and think your work's hard. The leaves seep the road, seasons change, the trees have grown.
So when I started writing Now Here, it was about withdrawing from the world when it all kind of becomes too much. A desire I felt quite often in all the doubt I experienced while honing my songwriting craft. But with the desire to withdraw came the desire to quit altogether, to give in to my doubts and abandon my creative ambitions. So with this, the song mutated into a premonition of the old man I'd become if I did give in. The regret I would carry, the lost potential that would haunt me, the songs that would stay in my head unfulfilled for the rest of my life. Now Here actually references all the previous songs in the album up to this point. So in our hero's journey, Now Here is the crisis. It's the regretful, spiteful, belligerent old man from How Lucky that I would become if I gave in to my doubts. It's a bitter premonition of the future I'd live if I didn't give my all to my creative pursuits.
What journey to come to close? The suit is past the left and broke. What feelings he left unawoke.
So one evening I was lying in bed trying to sleep, and this melody and words made their way into my head. So I jumped out of bed, I rushed to my guitar, and I started writing. And it all just came out. Now, it wasn't a particularly good song, it didn't really have much meaning, but it was the first time that it flowed out of me naturally. And it's the first time I ever felt like I could do that again. In our hero's journey, Sun-Inch sound is the treasure. It's the hard work of the journey paying off, manifesting into a new power and a new skill to take forward. And it's also the first song that I ever wrote that I was happy with. And I remember after I finished writing it, I scratched Sun-Inch sound onto the back of my phone, as a reminder to myself that not only had I done it, but I could do it again.
Keep it low, project it out. Leave all trace of Sun-Inch sound.
So I was in high school when I wrote the guitar riffs for Fit the Mold. Years later, I wrote the lyrics while I was backpacking through Ireland. At some point after this, I can't remember exactly when, I decided that it needed a 2-minute slide guitar solo. I recorded the drums in Studio 13 in London while I was studying music production at the Abbey Road Institute. Then the vocals after I moved back to my hometown of Sydney and taught myself how to sing. And finally the piano, which was played in this very room by my best mate, Callum, who was the first person I showed the original guitar riffs to way back in high school. So in our hero's journey, Fit the Mold is the resurrection. It's a return to the familiar world with the knowledge and confidence we've acquired throughout the hero's journey. It's everything that's been kept and everything that's been shed from Song Here's initial value statement. Where Lake Crookmouth has come from, where it currently is, and where it's going.
I guess you don't really care as long as it's got you. I guess you don't really care as long as it's got you.
Thank you for watching this long form video of Lake Talkmouth. I haven't done one of these before, so this has been a lot of fucking work. But I guess if you like it, we'll keep doing it. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Tell me how I'm wrong about the hero's journey. All the fragile old men, tell me how scared you are by my nails. But no, thanks for watching. Here and Finally Here is now streaming, so you can go listen to it. Lake Crookmouth out.